All right. Hello, everyone. This is Charlie, and this is my focal student inquiry presentation. So the school I did research on was Rowell Elementary. It's in Southeast Fresno, K through 6 school in Fresno Unified School District. And I found interesting that it was kind of tucked away kind of within a neighborhood, not really next to any major intersections. Here's a illustration to show that. It's just kind of in the middle of a neighborhood between Tulare and Belmont in Southeast Fresno. Close proximity to Roosevelt High School, Fresno City College, the airport's up here, and it's a nice looking kind of small community in Southeast Fresno. So some of the data from Rowell Elementary, this is from 2018-2019, the assessment for student performance for ELA and math. I was very surprised and very shocked at how many students were not meeting level ones for English and math. I was surprised at how big that percentage was. Level 2 and level 3 seem to have a decent amount of percentage of them. Level 4 is the smallest, but man, I was just blown away by how high that number is, and I'm sure that's not specific to just Rowell Elementary. I'm sure there are many other schools in the Central Valley that have numbers that are reflective of this as well. And these are the sources that I used for that information. So one of my focal students that I have spent time observing, his name is Fred. Background on Fred. Fred lives with his family. He was in an accident when he was 7 years old that meant that he had limited use of his right leg and right arm, and he also had difficulty speaking and difficulty learning as a result of that accident. And behavior and acting out was also a struggle with him when he was in school. And some of his interests that I've heard him mention through observation are computers, video games, superheroes, and sports, and that type of thing. So, given that information, Fred's funds of knowledge can contain sports, sport teams, anything kind of related with sports, computers. He's computer competent from exposure to video games and using computers in the classroom. And Fred has experience in both general education and special education classroom settings, so that gives him an advantage of experiencing different types of educational settings. And due to his behavior, and his aides and specialists have been working with him so that he can better self-analyze his own behavior and surroundings, so that kind of gives him a different perspective, and that's his funds of knowledge. His strengths, he loved anything that involved movement. He's a kid that loves sports, so any kind of activities that involved moving around, standing up, that type of thing, I noticed he was more eager to participate with that. He had a very strong understanding of mathematics. He liked participating in math, and he was very good at decoding text for reading and also spelling. Some of the struggles and challenges I noticed with Fred are his he did not seem keen on working in groups with large amounts of students, and also reading comprehension. And my second focal student, Hoi Long, her background is she lives with her father. He's a single parent. She uses a wheelchair due to cerebral palsy, and she received special education in elementary school, but she's also a high achieving student. Her main interests outside of school: arts and crafts, painting, puzzles, and board games, those type of activities. So her funds of knowledge are a little unique with experience and ability of operating a wheelchair. So she knows and sees the world differently than most of us do, because she has to account for a chair with wheels on it. Her interest in painting and art, and her high conscious high consciousness of her environment and her experience in both general and special education all add to her funds of knowledge and that lens that she looks through. And her strengths, she works very well individually. Through my observation, I noticed that she would easily get work done by herself. She's a strong reader, strong writer, and she demonstrated very strong creativity in multiple subjects. Some of the challenges, obviously, the desk location for the teacher. Through my observations, her desk had to be put in only a select few places due to her wheelchair, so she couldn't be in a corner or a place where the desk had little access. And I also noticed that she was shy, a little more shy when working in groups as opposed to working individually. So here's my inquiry-based instructional plan for my students. So for Fred, I would address both challenge areas by putting students in small groups of 3, and discussing the text with a topic that's interesting to Fred. And this will benefit him because he'll get to hear what other students have to say about the text. And it'll also, I believe it'll be a small enough group that he won't feel too overwhelmed and he'll be more likely to participate. And I selected both challenge areas because I thought they would be easy to combine and do at the same time. So this will use Fred's strength of decoding and his interest of sports, which are all linked to his funds of knowledge. So I think that would be very beneficial for Fred. And so the lesson would go something like this. The teacher would introduce tennis through either a short story or PowerPoint, and then with props also, and then the students would break into small groups, and they would each select 3 details within their group about tennis. So they're looking through the text, they're decoding, they're collaborating, they're talking, and it's all about tennis. And so the goal is to have students identify important details in the text and then collaborate with their partners to record information, with the objective being learning new information about tennis, and then being able to share with the class so they would feel comfortable telling someone else how to play. And short PowerPoint with props, and then break the students into groups and have them collaborate and then share their 3 details that they discovered about tennis. So my challenge area for Huai-Lum, so I would like her to address the area of shyness when working with groups. And to do that, I'm going to incorporate examples of text with figurative language, and then have break those students into groups and have those groups design and illustrate their own examples of a particular figurative language. So through using creativity, drawing, and reading and writing, which we know are some of Huai-Lum's strengths and play into her funds of knowledge, my goal is to maybe help her overcome that shyness of working in groups. So the lesson plan would be an introduction to different types of figurative languages, either through a book or a short story, and then students will be divided into groups of 5, and each group will get their own figurative language. And each member in that group creates their own unique illustration that represents that particular figurative language. So the goal is collaboration, creativity, illustration, and learning, the objective of learning the different types of figurative language, and then having an opportunity to present that to the class. So a similar style to the first lesson, introduction of the topic by the instructor, and then breaking off into groups so the students can learn and get a proper hands-on experience in their groups. So with all the data collecting that can take place, I'm going to look for Fred to make sure he's communicating with this group, comprehending what he reads, and getting full participation, and asking questions if, could I have done this better? How could I make it better next time? And Huai-Lum I want to make sure she's kind of overcoming that shyness, and I would also make sure that her accuracy of her explanations of figurative language are again kind of comparable to previously recorded information and performance that we know she's done in English language arts. And it's all inquiry based. How can I modify this to make it better next time, and collect enough data to make a difference next time. So inquiry, I've learned it's a process. It's not a one-time thing. It can be either broad or very concentrated. It can be just about anything. But one major thing I wanted to focus on was it's not so much asking what the students can do, but what we can do as the teacher. Because what we do directly affects how our students learn. So how can we do this better? How can we have done it differently? And understanding the perspective of the teacher, which I hope to learn more of as time goes by. And inquiry. It's not once a week. It's multiple times throughout the day. And I do plan on using inquiry. I think that's a great way to improve as a teacher. And here are some of the sources I used and references. And that's all. Thank you very much for watching.